This is Andy, aka Montolio, and I'm joined by Josh, and we are back for another Classic Quarter qualifier, number 3, round 1. And we've got two clanmates here. We've got enderfall with, and we've got moonkhan game oath. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing well. Too bad we got a couple of clannies facing off right here.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much enough. There's quite a few Clan Magic Eternal guys in this tournament, so but they have to start off against each other, though.
Yeah, better to face each other in the finals.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully that's the case. So, what do you think of this match, Josh? It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I like. Enderfall has abrupt decays, right?
He does. Yeah, he runs 3 main deck, and I think he actually might have 1 sideboard as well.
So
Yep, he does.
I like that quite a bit in this matchup.
Yeah, it's absolutely very good against Oath, particularly having it main deck. Like, you see a lot of people that are siding him in specifically for this match. But, yeah, I'd like to. I know we talked very briefly about Enderfall's deck during the previous podcast, but I wanted to highlight a couple cards that I thought were quite classic that we haven't seen a lot of. Our Baleful Strix, he's running 3 of those main deck. He's got 2 Thrall, the last trolls, which I know he's put in there specifically to avoid cards like Abrupt Decay. Um, he's also got Fencer Shaper Savant, which is in the previous qualifier, which, all of these cards are pretty darn good.
Yeah, I like Thrun quite a bit. I've seen a couple other people. Were you testing around with Thrun for a while?
And that sort of thing. And I was playing him specifically for that reason as well. So, but yeah, it should be a really interesting match. Also, we're seeing Deathrite Shaman, which we haven't seen a whole lot of in Classic. He's got 4 of them, so it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't really. I haven't liked playing with Deathrite Shaman at all. It's always seemed kind of slow and dirtly with anything other than the mana producing, and at that point, I just kind of want Birds of Paradise if I'm going that route.
Both of them, and I have found Deathrite Shaman to be very good in certain situations. Obviously there's a lot of fetch lands in Classic, which makes it really good, wastelands and that sort of thing. But what's happened to me when I'm trying to ramp out early game, if my opponent does not have those type of lands in his graveyard, if I don't have them in my graveyard, it's a useless card. And as you say, you'd way rather have a Birds of Paradise, a Noble Hierarch, something of that nature. But late game, Deathrite Shaman becomes an extremely powerful card because, of course, you can gain life with it. You can deal 2 damage with it. If there's instant sorceries in the graveyard, creatures in the graveyard, which of course there always is late game. So I like it. I don't like it as a 4 of. I do in my green, white, black hate. I've been running 1 as the Silver Bullet, and it has won me games. So I certainly respect it. So. Yeah, it looks like moonkhan is a distinct advantage on the board here in the sense that he's got an active Library of Alexandria on the table.
Yeah, it's definitely tough to be a blue player sitting across from another blue player who's got a library and you don't.
Yeah. Well, Scott has got himself down a Liliana of the Veil, which can help negate an LOA.
Yeah, it's still moonkhan still gets to get up to 7 cards here and then go up to 8.
Liliana is going to have a little impact here. This is an example of how broken Library of Alexandria can be, particularly when it's unrestricted in Classic. Like, just card advantage is huge. On the board, he's got Liliana on top of that, and he is significantly far behind.
How many Dragon Breath does moonkhan have? Because Liliana could be a factor if he doesn't hit one of those.
I'm not sure. I believe moonkhan definitely has Dragon's Breast. He runs two,
Yeah, it's good games, so.
so not very good. And of course, we have just seen both druids hit the table here, which is very, very bad for Scott. He's likely going to have to use his Liliana to get rid of the token. That or he gets himself an abrupt decay.
I assume that's what he's gotten with his vampiric tutor.
One would presume so. That or he had one in his hand and he's gone to get something else, but I'm not quite sure what he'd be looking for. Maybe a Trigon Predator. That's, of course, presuming that he has the abrupt decay in his hand right now.
Yeah, and he would still have to use that before he can get the Trigon online.
Definitely. You know, I'm not sure about you, but Liliana of the Veil is a card I've played a fair amount with in my Jund, my classic Jund build. And have you ever played Liliana?
Not in Classic, I don't think. Maybe, well, I built like a Planeswalker deck.
Yeah, she's great. And, you know, God forbid you can get her down with the Jace, the Mind Sculptor. The synergy between the two is just redonkulous. I like her a lot. I'm surprised we haven't seen her more in Classic. She's an extremely powerful Planeswalker.
I certainly watched a few games that Zach played in Legacy with Jace and Liliana out there.
Oh, yeah. It's a nice feeling. It's a feeling of utter superiority. It's not too often you're going to lose in that situation. So, moonkhan has played himself an Ancient Tomb into a Sol Ring, into a Time Vault, into a Voltaic Key. I would suspect with one card left in Enderfall's hand that would seek a good game. Yeah.
So on to game 2 here.
Yeah.
Enderfall will be on the play for this one, so that should help a bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty tough matchup for Enderfall. I think he's quite reliant on Abrupt Decay to be able to get rid of those Oath of Druids. But one other facet that we didn't really talk about, which I think hurts Scott a lot here, is Show and Tell. I know moonkhan has 2 Show and Tells in his deck, and I don't think there's anything he can do to stop that. Like, Scott's not running counter magic or anything like that, so... Oh, he is actually running counter magic. My apologies. He's got 3 missteps and 4 Force of Wills. Regardless, it's difficult to tackle both angles here. And another LOA for moonkhan.
I think another thing that's tough for Scott here is his creatures aren't all that big, so he needs to put the game away fairly quickly.
And that's not really what his deck is built to do. Like, Scott's deck is built to grind you out. You know, it says fast.
Does he have Tarmogoyf at all?
4 Deathrights, 3 Baleful, 3 Snapcasters, 2 Thron, 1 Trigon, 1 Clique, Vendilion Clique, and 1 Venser Shaper Savant. Which is also actually a very good card against Oath. Never thought about that. It can bounce back your big creatures.
I feel like Tarmogoyf would be pretty good in that deck with Lilianas and stuff, getting things in the graveyard.
Yeah. I actually believe he originally had them, but I think he subbed them out for the Baleful Strix. Which has merit all of its own.
Yeah, Baleful Strix is pretty good.
So moonkhan is getting some stuff down here, and Scott has actually commented there about the LOAs. So, Oath of Druids out again, forced.
It's interesting the moonkhan chose to go down to 5 cards there.
That's a good force of will there.
Do you think there's any reason for him to go down to 5 cards like that, though?
What do you mean?
It seems kind of strange for moonkhan to go down to 5 cards with LOA out there. I don't know if he needed to play all those artifacts.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you there. Yeah, a little bit peculiar. Oh, there's a good card. Caracas. Cannot be underestimated against Oath. The only 2 cards that really get around that are Blightsteel Colossus and the Archon. And Archon, I don't think, is a shoe-in for Oath by any means.
No, I don't know if he would bring that in or not here.
Actually, you bring a good point there with that LOA, Josh. I think that could have been a significant error on his part.
You didn't mention, does Scott have Spell Pierce at all? That's the only reason I can think to play out extra artifacts.
Nope. 3 minutes up, 4 Force of Wills. That's it. And there is the big bad legend Thrun, who's looking pretty mediocre right now in this matchup.
It's probably his quickest way to put the game away, at least.
For sure. See, Thrun's so much better, I think, in a creature type matchup.
Yeah, hexproof is nice, and the regeneration, they just can't get through them.
Yep. And he's also got nice Caracas as well. He's got 3 legends deck, I believe, 2 of which are fantastic with Caracas in your own end, which is Vendilion Clique, and even better is Venser Shaper Savant in Caracas. You can just infinitely keep Emrakuls and Blightsteel Colossus to the cows come home and replay it.
Yeah, Venser is sick with Caracas.
Yeah, for sure. It's slow, but it can be daunting in those type of situations. And it has no problem with Dragon's Breath and that sort of thing because, of course, Venser has Flash.
So double LOA, I'm not sure how you get over that.
Oh, brutal. Really, really tough to beat that. Having said that, I mean, Scott does have a reasonable clock here. But, of course, moonkhan has lots of time to get out of this. 3 turns as we sit on the table right now. And depending on what happens with his mana crypt.
Yeah, it could easily become a 2-turn clock.
Lord knows it's happened to me enough. Do you remember that game that you and I played once? I think it was a steel cage match. And you won something like 8 or 9 flips in a row.
Yeah, I'm good at calling.
God, I almost had a friggin' heart attack. And it was like to win the game. And I just couldn't close it out.
I think Tinker was my out, or Tinker or Energy Flux, and I drew like 20 cards and still couldn't find one of them.
You're scared.
Because I had Jace on the table.
I can't remember now. I have the match recorded somewhere. It's probably on our clan YouTube site, but I'll have to go back and watch that someday. It was pretty funny. So, moonkhan has got the vault down, and basically just needs to get himself into the key. And Scott's down to 2 cards right now, so looking a little ominous here. And moonkhan seems to be winning quite a few coin flips here. Double LOA again. Absolutely back-breaking. Drawing 3 cards a turn, which is a permanent Ancestral Recall every turn.
Is Ancestral good?
Some people say it's good. I can't say I've ever had the privilege of casting one.
No,
I suspect it's pretty good.
seems good.
Like Snapcasters when Ancestor Recall comes out. And big move here, Jace the Mind Sculptor, which will not be putting Thrun back on his library.
He just needs an extra card. He hasn't drawn enough.
Put in his hand right now. It's not bad.
Did he find the Voltaic key? And is one of the cards in Scott's hand an Abrupt Decay?
Yeah, another combo that it just disrupts so easily. Vault Key. Can't tell you how many times in matches where I've just gone all in on Vault Key. Now you got to be careful of the threat of an abrupt decay. There's nothing to do about it.
So there's the Oath, but it might be one turn too late.
Yeah, so he's hitting here for 6, 7, 8, 9 next turn, and if moonkhan loses the coin flip, he's just dead this turn. If he doesn't, yeah, no, he can't win. Because even if he gets an Emrakul with a Dragon's Breath on it, Scott of 2 creatures left.
Does he have Gristlebrand?
Yeah, he has Grizzlebrand.
So does that gain him enough life?
Well, no, it'll get bounced with Caracas.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But I mean, it's over right here. If he loses the coin flip, and if he doesn't, he has an opportunity to.
So it's Blight Steel or nothing at that point.
And Blightsteel will not kill him if it's Deathrite Shaman.
Yep.
Got this one locked up, but Demonic Tutor. Okay. What's to get after here? Hopefully not a second Caracas.
Maybe a Vapor Snag.
Stifle.
There's Emrakul, but no Dragon's Breath.
Yeah. You know, I remember playing in a daily event probably a year and a half ago, something like that, and I was playing Oath, and it was from a money game, and I was playing against Timmins, of course, who was the fish expert back in those days. The blue, black, green fish versions, and he had played himself. I had an Oath down, and I was going to get a trigger off before he got to hit me with his Trigon, killing my Oath or Druids, and I had a pass in my hand. It was Oath or dead, and I was feeling pretty solid about myself. My Oath trigger went off. I'll never forget it. He stifled my Oath and killed my Oath the next turn with his Trigon, and yeah, you know how that story ended.
Yeah, I was playing his deck once, and I stifled a Time Vault trigger with a Trigon on the table.
Yeah, well, Stifle's such a good card. Really, I think it's extremely underplayed right now. It hits so many things that are important, and particularly fetch lands, wastelands.
Yeah, it adds Wastelands 5 through 9.
That's right. So there you have it. Bullet game 2 there. That was really well played, and I would say rather fortuitous for him against 2 active LOAs, but very nice. And we're on to game 3 here, and this time Paul will be on the play. moonkhan.
The definitive Game 3.
That was a real synthesizer, in case the listeners are wondering.
I knew it was. Turn one, Oath.
Wow. All in or what?
It's kind of when you have to cast it to avoid abrupt decay.
Yeah, yeah. I suspect this one will be over. Now, having said that, Scott does run Mox Diamonds in his deck,
Ah,
which is pretty cool. I like Mox Diamonds a lot. He's got that one-off Life of the Loam and 3 Mox Diamonds.
have you ever seen a Mox Diamond force a wield?
No, I haven't.
That would have been good.
He's got the Mox. Does he got the Moxie? Oh, that's, oh, wow. That is a huge beating.
You gotta force a wield a Mox.
What a huge beating. Especially with that Mana Crypt going. I guess it depends. Does he have another Oath in hand? Show and Tell? I beg your pardon, Tinker?
Well, which do you lead on? You probably just lead on Tinker if you have it. Maybe not. I guess you'd have to sack your Mana Crypt.
Which is fine. But if I would probably go for Oath first because you just got tons of time. Oh, he's got Tinker. Okay. Now, he would be going for his Colossus. I did talk about this. This is much to his chagrin. It's a deck error. When he put in his deck, he put in the wrong Colossus, so he's playing a Darksteel Colossus instead of a Blightsteel Colossus, which is, not very good. It's nowhere near as good because it doesn't kill in a turn like Blightsteel Colossus will, but it's still an ominous, ominous foe here.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to remove.
Yeah. This shortcomings. It will not kill a Darksteel Colossus. Neither a Trigon.
No.
I'd say, I mean, it's a pretty good opener here. But, of course.
Yeah, those are the cards he wanted to have.
For sure.
He just got overpowered.
Let's see what happens. It's not looking good, but I mean, the reality is, now that I think about it, I don't think there's actually anything in his deck that can stop that creature. A Liliana the Veil.
Or Venser.
Or a Jace or a Venser.
But now that Strip Mine is really limits his options.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
So he needs Underground Sea and Liliana now.
I do not foresee that happening, Josh.
It seems unlikely. Assuming moonkhan uses a Strip Mine, which there he does.
Good old process.
Scott can live for one more turn, though.
Yeah, he can. Trigon's 2/3, so he'll get hit for 8, putting him to 2.
And there's the real disadvantage with Darksteel over Blightsteel.
Well, there he goes. Darksteel Colossus is going to beat on that Trigon Predator. And Scott is down to 2 life, and missed his land drop, it looks like, which is going to seek a good game. I strongly suspect.
Green, black. Decays the diamond.
Okay. Paul's got 3 or 4 of them in the sideboard. Yeah, there you have it. moonkhan takes the match down 2-1 over our buddy Scott. Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll